Live from Hollywood at Genghis Khan, it's the Nighttime Show! Tonight we have our very special guest from Pinky and the Brain, the Critic, Futurama, and the Real Ghostbusters, Maurice LaMarche! We also have the birthday boy, Matt Walker, and the birthday cake himself, our host, Stephen Kramer Glickman.
Yabba dabba Glickman. Welcome to the Nighttime Show. Mike Black, happy to have you back.
Thank you.
A voice of 1,000 angels. That's what we call you when you're not
1,000
here.
angels screaming at the top of their lungs.
Really angry angels.
Really are. It is a pleasure to be here at Genghis Khan, my favorite Chinese food restaurant. I just ate 2 egg rolls all by myself.
I skipped breakfast and had 2 orders of their delicious fried chicken pot stickers.
Oh, wow. So you're playing at
Heart
Smart
today. Yeah, really counting calories. I've pretty much eaten into the next 4 days.
Oh, my God.
just at breakfast.
Well, we have with us today a legend.
Who hasn't eaten.
A man who hasn't eaten
I
yet.
have not eaten.
Oh,
No.
God. Well, we should get you something to eat.
No, I'm good.
Are you sure you don't want some egg rolls or something?
pot
No,
stickers,
I
you should
never
really try.
eat while I'm working.
All right.
And
well,
I never work while I'm eating.
I do both.
It balances out.
It really does.
Yeah.
His mother told him you have to wait half an hour after eating before you start working.
That's right.
Well, it's very, very exciting
Before you go
to
swimming
have
in the
you.
pool of sharks that do show business.
Right, exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Maurice LaMarche here.
Yes.
Come on.
Maurice LaMarche is here? Oh, wait, that was the guy who was talking, whose voice nobody recognized.
By the way, you mentioned swimming in
because
a
I
pool
never
of sharks.
speak like this, yes.
I, for one, cannot wait to see Michael Phelps race a shark. That's like my highlight of
What
July.
are you talking about?
You didn't hear
that
about
happening?
that? Michael Phelps for Shark Week on Discovery is going to race a great white shark in the ocean.
Man's
Wow.
an idiot.
I think they should make it so the winner gets to eat the loser.
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
that way
say,
you know
yeah.
they're both going to try really hard.
Yeah, a nice bowl of Michael Finn soup ought to be.
Yeah.
I guess for sharks that would be like the Michael Speedo soup.
Yeah, but I'm just like I'm excited.
He's
Like
not
I
going
love
to win
it.
against a great white shark.
Like-
I mean, he's good for a man, but you know.
I loved it when did you ever watch Man vs. Beast back in the day? Where they had like it was like Justin Gatlin, the sprinter, raced against a giraffe, and they had Kobayashi eating against a bear, and they had like people competing. They had it was like 100 little people in a tug of war with an elephant.
No,
That I remember. I remember
that-
the commercial for that.
So does the human ever win these competitions?
Lost the race of the giraffe, lost the eating contest against the bear, but they beat the elephant in tug of war.
Wow.
Never
100
underestimate little people.
Yeah, little people. They've got a lot going for them. Maurice, you.
The little
and
people
I-
are still going to be standing alone at the end of this
Yes.
next contest as the only winners.
Maurice, you and I are from the same place. We are both from Ontario, Canada.
We are from the same province. Yes.
Yeah, you're
you
from.
hail from Toronto.
You're
or
from Toronto. I'm from London, Ontario.
from London.
But I did live in Toronto a little bit when I was a kid. Is that where you were? Where you grew up? Was in Toronto, Ontario?
Yeah, most of my memories are Toronto. A little bit of Ottawa. None of Timmins, which is where all my family is from. I have almost no memory of Timmins, but that's where the LaMarche name is most
Sure.
prominent to me.
Yeah, that makes
Yes,
sense.
I've 3 uncles and many, many cousins.
So you're of the Timmins LaMarche.
I am of the Timmins LaMarches.
Yeah.
Oh yes, the Timmins LaMarches. Timmins, Ontario is a very, very small town. Well, it's actually becoming it's actually just qualified as a city recently, but it's
I really like it there.
small place.
yeah.
Shania Twain, home to Shania Twain and the guy who plays the brain. Says right on as you drive into the city.
I love it.
No, not really, but
love
okay.
it.
But she's from there, yes.
Soon.
Soon. Yes.
Did you work
after
in?
I'm dead.
Did you work in the business in Canada before you came out here, or did you?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's where I kind of got the hubris to come here. I worked in. I started at Yuck Yucks Comedy Club
So yeah, you started in stand up,
in stand up.
right?
I started actually. I opened the club. I did one night on open mic night when it was still in like the community center on Church Street, and then they closed and built their own club. And the opening night of that club, I had done, as I said, one good open mic night, and he made me a regular.
Wow.
And which shows how low the expectations were in Toronto, Canada for stand-up comedy.
For those of you not in comedy, that's a big deal.
It's a big deal here in Canada. It was actually, you know what? I had the same luck here. Yeah. I think I just
Did you get passed by Mitzi right away?
I got past first showcase. She made me a regular.
There you go.
And that's why I moved down here.
Oh my
Because
God!
apparently that doesn't happen all that often. But
No.
But I was working 3 years in Canada already, so I was better than open mic night material for the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
But probably I had a ways to go. I mean,
Yeah.
and believe me, I didn't get like 8 p.m. spots. I was
2 a.m.
2 a.m.
Yeah.
Cooling them down after Kinnison.
Who was around at the store at the time? I mean, you mentioned
Sam.
Kinnison and
Sam was there. I'd gone after Sam to take the audience down.
that
so
is a
they
tough
could go
spot.
home. Yeah.
How do you follow Sam Kinnison? What can you say?
You can't because you're exhausted from
Yeah.
laughing. I would watch. First time I ever saw him do that Beast F thing that he does. Can we swear on this?
Yeah.
Sure. Say whatever you want.
So
yeah.
he used to do this thing called Beast Fuck that he dropped once he became, a big star, but because it was a lot of work. But he literally used to do a handstand on the very low standing tables, against the stage, and just send his feet flying back behind him, so you could literally see the soles of his shoes, and then wham down onto the stage, and then back up again, and wham down onto the stage. And he would just go, "I will beast fuck! I am beast fucking you! Ow, ow, ow!" And it was like,
Holy shit.
You fell off your stool if you were sitting at the bar, which is where I'd wait to go on. And I was sober at the time, too, but I'd fall off the stool laughing at this guy. He was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he would sleep there. He was the doorman, and he would, he'd close up, and I'd say, "You want to go get coffee?" He goes, "Nah, Maurice, I got to close up, and I sleep here. So yeah, this is
Wow.
See you later. I gotta lock the door behind me. I don't have a key. I just locked myself in."
Wow.
That's the way.
He started that tradition of comics.
Yeah. Well, this is the only place. When he moved here, he lost everything. So he got taken in a divorce very badly. So
Really, never showed in his comedy.
no.
You ever thought he'd tell some jokes about that?
When you were growing up, were there people in your family that were doing voices and doing funny
My
stuff?
mother
or-
was exceptional at voices and doing. She didn't know anybody famous, but she had all these friends, and if she was ever recreating a conversation, what her French friend Noella had said, and then what her Jewish friend Estelle had said, she'd play all the characters as she recounted, as she was gossiping. And she had a phenomenal ear for accents and that type of thing. And then my dad, terrible ear for accents, although he did a bang-on French-Canadian because, well, he was a bang-on French-Canadian.
Right.
And although when he was in broadcasting, he learned to drop the accent to speak English and spoke a very mellifluous, deep-voiced, way of speaking English. But what my dad had was he had a very dry sense of humor. So from my mom, I picked up the ability to do impressions. From my dad, I had that kind of arched eyebrow, looking askance at everything, things that inform curmudgeonly characters like the brain, that type of thing.
Yeah, of course.
So there was stuff going on within the family dynamic. My brother Paul is actually very good at voices as well, but he just doesn't have that urge to perform. But he actually does a Muhammad Ali that's perfect, and his Tony Soprano is bang on. I can't nail Tony Soprano, but my brother Paul has got Tony Soprano down perfect, and my brother Jason does the belch puke sound that I've become a bit known for in films like Elf and in Animaniacs: The Great Whack-A-Roddy. But my brother can do it with even more resonance, and you'd swear you can actually hear chunks of beef.
Can you do it for us?
Yes. I can't do Jason's because I can't do better than just like when they
try
used to
your
show you
hardest.
color television commercials on your shitty color television when you were a
Yes.
kid. It's like, what's
Sure.
the point of showing me this?
Yeah.
I'm watching it on a shitty color. So the RCA, I don't know how much better it is than the Zenith because I'm watching on a Zenith.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. Here's my Bert Belch puke, which is good enough to get paid for.
Oh my God! Amazing!
Thank you.
Amazing!
That'll get you out of school.
I get paid for doing this.
How did you learn that you can do that?
It was the strangest thing. I folded up a plastic puke. My dad used to take us on the weekends to this little corner convenience store that had that they had a little
The
spinny,
99-cent
yeah,
thing
had a
of
little
gags.
spinny
Magic tricks
thing of
and-
magic tricks,
and
jokes,
vomit. Yeah.
gags.
I wish
Whoopee
they still
cushions
had
and-
those for kids now.
Yep,
Oh,
and
you know?
I used to buy a joke a week and the joy buzzer and this.
Yeah.
and
I
the
bought a
smoke
whoopee cushion
pellets.
at my laundromat
Exactly.
for 50 cents the other
Exactly.
day. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The little
So-
smoking monkey. Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah.
And this was the plastic puke, and I folded the plastic puke up in my hand, and I was going to try to get sent to the nurse's office as a prank in the 5th grade. And so I folded it up, and as I was dropping it, I thought, I got to come up with a good sound effect for this, otherwise she's not going to buy it. And that's just what came out. I just got to turn my tongue inside out, puffed out my cheeks, and did this Tuvan rasp, and just went, and out it came. It hit the floor, and I got sent to the nurse's office.
Wow.
Halfway
hope
down
so.
the hall, when she noticed it was plastic
Yeah.
puke, I made a veer to the principal's office.
Yes.
It was like, she said, no, you're not going to the nurse. Go to the principal. Go to the principal, young man.
Yeah.
We used to do that.
Boy with the puke.
We had plastic poop when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And my mom used to take it and put it in a little jewelry box, and then she would give it to people at the holidays.
Nice.
And they'd open up this present, and inside they'd unwrap the bow, and inside would be a big plastic piece of shit.
Lovely.
That explains my birthday present this year.
Yeah. You're welcome.
So you mentioned that your father was in broadcasting. What did he do?
He was a newscaster, and he did weather, news, some sports. He started in Timmins, a little town, that small town I talked about, and a little TV radio station there. He was doing that when I was born, and then he was transferred to the Ottawa station.
Really?
Which was a CBC affiliate. Stephen, you'll know this being Canadian, what the CBC is. Canadian Broad Corp and Castration. And he was, he did, on the French side of the CBC, the news, sports, and weather. He did the whole show himself at 6:30.
show?
Yeah, at 6:30 to 7. But from 6 to 6:30 on the very same set, they do the English version, and the two guys that were doing that were Alex Trebek was doing the sports and weather, and Peter Jennings was doing the news.
Wow.
This was
Oh
in
my
1960,
God.
I think 3 or 4. I'm not sure.
That's an amazing
So they
lineup.
were all in the makeup room together, and one of these things was not like the others. My dad decided broadcasting wasn't for him and dropped out like the next year and became a pharmaceutical salesman. But Jennings and Trebek went on to good things. So he'd step into their set and do the whole show again in French, backwards and in high heels from 6:30 to 7 on the French channel, that same set.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's incredible. So, what was your first job? Like first big
first paid
TV
gig?
Paid gig. Yeah.
On TV, or I did stand-up comedy while in high school and got $40 at a hoedown in a barn.
Who books that?
Yeah. It was
Because
my very
$40, like that's more than I get paid.
That
for
sounds like a
stand-up.
great gig.
Yeah, because it took me the whole week to make that at my part-time job cleaning the bakery
Yeah.
at Loblaws grocery store. So yes, I just went show
I
business
remember
for me.
Loblaws grocery
Sure.
store, of course.
You know who the spokesman for Loblaws grocery stores
Who?
was William Shatner.
Get out of here!
Because at Loblaws, more than the price is right, but by gosh, the price is right. That was his gig.
Oh my God!
that
you
was
just
his gig when I was
melted
in high
my
school.
brain.
So it was the very first gig, very first payment I ever got was $40 for doing stand up at a hoedown in a barn in the dead of winter in just a little north of Toronto.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
That's the best.
So how long did you do stand-up in
My
Canada?
music teacher, Mr. Ken Jones, got me that one. Yeah.
So you were there for doing stand-up, you said, for about 3 years, and then you came to L.A.?
Yeah, I did
How
5 minutes, and then then Yuck Yucks opened up, and I was doing regular spots there, and I got a weird gig. I got to host a local show, in Toronto called the Class of '78 and Class of '79, and then Class of '80. 3 years we did this show, and it was all high school talent.
Oh, wow.
So it was a local show, but one of my guests, and I'm proud to say that I had the deciding, like I said, you got to put this guy on. He's great. Was Jim Carrey. And so I'm 19, Jim's 15, and I'd known Jim from the Yuck Yucks club, and I was actually there his very first night, and remember the night he went on very well, and so I told the producer, we got to put this guy on, and so we had Jim on the show. He was the guy who like skyrocketed. Wow. And if you go on Jim's website, you can still see the set he did and me with my Eric Estrada helmet hair.
Oh wow!
In 1979, introducing him. Yeah.
Oh my God,
that's amazing.
That's amazing. That's an incredible thing. Do you still do stand up? Like, do you still?
No, I have not. I've not done stand up. God, in a very long time. I think the last time I really did stand up was 1994, and it was just I had this, and I'm not to get morbid, but I had this run of about 5 years. 1992, excuse me. I confuse the dates sometimes. My mother died on the same date my son was born, but 2 years before. So, So anyway, June 10th, 1992. And every time, between 1997 and 1992, I lost a lot of people. I lost my dad in a very tragic way. He was murdered by his best friend. I lost my sister 2 years later in a fatal car crash. And then my mom in '92. There's just a lot of loss in a short period of time.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't thinking about making people laugh.
Yeah.
And I thank God I still had the cartoon thing, and I never really climbed back out of it. I remember my mother died, but I had a gig opening for Howie Mandel like as soon as I got back, and it just took everything I could just to walk out on that stage and do material.
Oh yeah.
And I just kind of hung it up at that point. Now I think to myself, I wish I'd pushed myself and gone a little further, and maybe taken a year off and then gotten back.
You remember I did stand up the night my father died, and I had a gig, and I was just like, he would have wanted me to go to work, and I showed up, and I said I was going to be here, so I showed up, and I just did the gig, but it was kind of rough. Like you're sitting there, and you got all kinds of other stuff going through your head, and it's tough to do.
Yeah, it was. Arsenio Hall told me that he also worked the night his father died. He got the news, and he still went on at the store that night and did a set. It's just, I guess it's a man boy. This is where the men leave the boys kind of a thing. I guess I was still too much of a boy, but I just the shock of it being a murder and then losing my sister. So
I was going to say a lot of it has to do with circumstance and not so much all of it. Your grit.
Yeah, but it was also like those three very, very intense losses in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
So the other thing too is that if you're a creative person and an actor, a voiceover actor, and you're a comedian, you do all these, you do a lot of different things. If you're getting the creative outlet, doing something else, and then that helps too a little bit.
I think that's true, and I never did let the voiceover stuff, the voice acting slide.
Yeah.
Regardless of where my personal difficulties took me, when I just
you
depression
got
and
as far as the business goes, you got out at the right time because like you were here in Los Angeles in the '80s, from the early '80s up until the early '90s. That's the comedy boom, and a lot of stuff dried up around the time you got out. Like
I suppose it did in terms of playing comedy clubs around town, in the country. So I mean, I'm very, very listen. I'm the luckiest guy on the planet that this voiceover thing opened up for me, and it's got a lot of longevity to it. If you don't screw up really badly, like punch out a producer or something like that, you can work this thing forever. And I've managed to keep going and have had a studio to go to a couple 3 times a week for like 30 plus years.
Son of a bitch.
I think in my own way, I've won the lottery, but I took like the 26 annual payments instead of the lump sum, So I'm very happy because, had I gone, let's say, in some fantasies, some alternate universe, I'd gotten a sitcom and I was on it for 4 years playing the best friend and, I'd saved a few $1 million doing that and then never worked again. Well, the money would be running out right about now. And I'd also have been incredibly bored and, never got another job.
People coming up going, say that catchphrase.
Aren't you the guy? Say, what are you talking about? It's like it could have worked out that way.
Come on, Gary.
I like having some place to go. And
now we're going to write that show for you.
Thank you. What are you talking about?
So what was?
But it reminded me of a thing when you were talking about how you found your niche and all of it. Do you get mobbed? Do you get recognized a lot or anything like that?
It's
Isn't
perfect.
that great?
It's perfect. I never get recognized.
You get all the benefits of being famous.
You know what happens is that people, if I pay for something at like definitely like the Geek Squad or the Apple Store, these are my people. and they looked. Occasionally, it's happened where they've looked down at my credit card, seen the name, and go, "Are you that Maurice LaMarche?" And then I go, "Yes." And we have that little moment, where
Wow.
yeah.
That's great.
So
I love
but
that.
That's awesome.
facially with the
It's like having a secret identity.
yeah, with the internet, my face is out there more than it ever had been. Sure. And once in a very great while, somebody will spot me. But for the most part, it's just fine.
Yeah.
Because I used to think I wanted that until some of my friends started getting famous, and then, it's just basically it amounts to interrupted dinners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're out at a restaurant with John Lovitz, and all of a sudden it's like it stops, and people come, "Oh, hello, yeah, I'm sure. Here you go. Aren't you too young to remember you from Saturday Night Live?" It's a 5-year-old girl, and
Yeah.
I remember once this happened,
Yeah.
and he's anyway. But that's
Wow.
really. All it comes down to. So, I'm thrilled with the way things have
Well, I
worked out.
remember Bill Murray saying that people ask him, like, how do you get rich and famous? He was like, try just being rich. You'll be a lot happier.
It's true.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Hey, so Matt, as always, I brought a bottle of Fireball whiskey to
Yeah.
the show because
It's a good time.
Fireball is the best. It's the best.
Makes every show better.
It makes everything better, man. It makes dates better. It makes dancing better. It makes podcasts better. It makes shows better. It makes stand-up better. It makes dealing with your family better. It makes crying better. It's so much better. I love it. I'm going to drink some right now. And you know what? If I hold the bottle up, you can actually hear the Fireball whiskey
You
talking.
can't hear a talk.
Yes, you can. I'll take the lid off. Hang on. Okay, now I'm going to hold it up. You can hear.
Steven!
Oh, that's
Steven!
that's the Fireball.
Wow.
That's in the
I
bottle.
want to be inside you.
Oh, all right.
Steven!
Hey, Fireball, how are you?
I'm so horny, Steven.
I'm sure you are. All right, now
I
let's.
want to do it with your stomach.
Well, get in there. Get on in there. I'm going to drink you down,
right.
baby. Here we go.
Yeah, swallow it. Yeah.
Get in there. Ooh, how's
yeah.
it feel in my stomach?
Feels so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so good.
Hey, who's making all that racket?
Oh God, there's another man in here. Steven, you whore.
How much stuff do you have in your stomach?
Who's in my stomach? Who is that?
He looks so handsome.
Oh, that's Gary.
Yeah,
Gary.
don't you remember?
Gary asked if he could.
I slid down an onion ring last week, bro.
Yeah, he needed a place to stay.
Yeah.
I'm Airbnb-ing my
Your stomach,
right now.
Definitely, yeah.
So Gary, how is it in there with
It's good, bro. I'm not ready to blow out anytime soon, man.
That's cool, man.
I'm gonna hang out in here for a while.
I hope you don't mind hanging out with Fireball whiskey.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's gonna be great. We're gonna party together.
We're gonna give him ulcers together, aren't we?
Yeah. Hey,
Let's
hey,
kidney stone.
Gary. Let's do a
let's-
sloppy seconds. I'll
Let's
be
get
inside
revenge
you.
for him eating us, even though we want him to.
Yes.
Yes.
Just kind of rolling inside. Oh,
I think you should go see a doctor, Steven.
I probably should. Guys, Fireball whiskey, it makes everything better. All right, let's get back to the show.
So how did you get started in the voiceover game? Like you came to LA, you're doing stand-up, and then how did you transition that into
Well-
doing voices on cartoons?
I had done 2 cartoons up in Canada, but that didn't really, follow me down here. Stand-up comedy, in both cases, though, led me to it. I got spotted at Yuck Yucks, and I did these 2 cartoons for Nelvana Films that are you can see them on YouTube now. One's called Easter Fever. It starred Garrett Morris from when he was on Saturday Night Live, but also John Candy and Catherine O'Hara from Second City when they were just starting out, and then got down here. Was doing stand-up a few years at the store, and a lady named Nina Nissenholtz, who was at the time with the William Morris Agency and had actually created the voiceover department. They had no purely voiceover department. They just took calls for voiceovers from their clients and sent them out. But she created the actual where you could audition in a studio in her office, and she said, "I want to start sending you out on stuff." And I said, "Well, I've been told that that's a closed door, but okay," because I was with one of the biggest agencies. I won't name them, but I was with them for just on-camera commercials, and I asked to meet the voiceover agent on this when I was with this purely commercial agency. They said, no, she's already got, and he named 2 big voiceover actors, and it's a closed door. And now that agency literally begs me,
Yeah.
you sure you're not happy where you are? Because we'd love to. But for time with William Morris, it was Nina sent me out on auditions for a year before I got my first job, and I was like, well, I guess I'm screwing up, but I'll go. But I guess I'm not doing it right, and I still had stand-up comedy keeping me happy.
Yeah,
and then I got one call for something called The Littles, and another one for something called Wolf Rock TV.
I watched The Littles.
I was in one episode of that. One episode of Wolf Rock TV with Wolfman Jack.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I totally remember that show.
And then suddenly Inspector Gadget, where I played the chief in the second season. They moved the show from Canada down here, and yet they got stuck with a Canadian no matter what. And so there I was, playing the chief in the second season and working alongside Don Adams, who was
That's amazing.
Maxwell Smart when I was growing up.
God.
And he had nothing but these fantastic stories about the making of Get Smart, you know. So it was just like I had my own DVD, extras across the room.
Right there.
I'll never forget the time Rickles and I were chained to a wall, and they left us there during lunch because we couldn't stop laughing, and we blew all our takes in the morning. When they came back, we were still laughing. So it was just great to have that.
That's amazing.
And it just kind of snowballed from there because that's what voiceovers like that. Once they hear there's a new guy and he's good and he shows up on time and all that, the work just keeps coming. It's the closest thing to a meritocracy in show business that you can get to.
Yeah.
Where just you do a good job and they actually.
Now, did you have a regular day job here in LA at that time?
I worked a few day jobs. I was never good enough to be a waiter. Like I applied for waiter jobs, never got them. I think they saw klutz. So I tripped on the way into the restaurant or something. I don't know, but I never got a waiter job. What I mostly did was telephone sales. That way here, and it was also one of the only things you could do under the table because I was a Canadian without
didn't have papers.
without papers until the beginning.
You did not have the
I did
papers.
not have any papers. So I did telephone sales, and I had one of those back in the days when you could get a banking only Social Security number. And, so, yeah.
So you were an illegal immigrant?
I was an illegal immigrant. I was a snowback.
So was I.
Yes.
So was I.
Exactly.
Yeah, we were illegal aliens till I was 17,
right?
17 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And because my father had lied to my entire family. He said that he was from Florida. And so our entire family thought that we had our green cards and were legal to work for our whole lives. For our whole lives until they got divorced, and then around 15 years old, 14, 15, my mom, I got offered a job in a play that was like an equity play, and I wanted to go do it, and it was a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum, and he was like, "No son of mine is doing any of that gay theater." And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, of course I'm going to go do that. I've been doing theater my whole life. Like, I'm a musical theater guy. Like, that's what I do. And he was like, no, you're not doing it. And then we tried to go find my papers to go do it. And then we looked it up, and it was like, my mom was like, wait a second. He was born in Montreal, Canada, not born in Florida.
I love that he tried to cover up his lie with homophobia.
He really did.
How's the therapy going?
God, took a long.
I bet
7 years,
geez.
6 years, 7 years.
He
of
needs
therapy.
much more.
I do need more. Yeah, I do need a lot more.
Your therapist
therapy.
quit.
He did quit.
He fired you.
He did fire me.
Well, his therapist quit because he finally came clean and said, listen, I can't practice therapy. I was born in Vancouver, BC.
And I'm your father.
That's right.
He literally did. No joke. Literally, I had a therapist, and I
You took
called
your
him
sister
one day.
time.
Oh God, yeah.
And then it was over. He was like, "That's too much."
Yeah, he was like, "It's a hard." He was like, "It's a hard pass.
You're oversharing.
We're done. Yeah, we're oversharing at this point. He's like,
Really?
we're done working together.
Wow.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? That's life.
That sounds like a sitcom opening. Like I took my sister to therapy. No.
He was like, "We're good here. We're done. We're done working together."
That's the name of the show. That's the show.
That's the show.
We're done here.
And Maurice
And the
will be
wacky
the
neighbor
wacky
comes
neighbor.
in.
I'm the wacky neighbor who comes in. Whoa, yeah. I got a new therapist for you, my boy. Steve, you won't believe it.
Do you do voice matching as well? Is that something you've done?
Yeah, every now and again.
Yeah.
Like I've done 3 of Lovitz's pictures. I worked with him on the Critic.
Oh, cool.
And I got to do his voice fairly well.
Yeah.
And so when he doesn't feel like doing his own looping, he goes, get Maurice LaMarche. He does me pretty good, and he can loop me. I'm busy opening my comedy club. So
amazing.
yeah.
That's
well. So so I've
that's
done,
like
I've
that's
done.
that's spot on. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah, that's
You-
incredible.
Can
You
you, do
work with-
anyone else from the cast of The Critic?
Oh, the Critic. Oh gosh.
Like Charles Napier or any of
Oh, I
those
love
guys?
Charles. I don't know if I could do Charles. I tried to do
That's a
Charles a
tough-
couple of
I
years
didn't
ago.
mean to put
I
you on the
might be
spot.
able to. Well, Jay, my voice is getting. See, my voice is getting deep. Whoa, hates critics. Wait a second, it's becoming Yosemite Sam. Ooh, hates Jay Sherman. No, I still don't have.
Totally different show,
I
but
still don't
just as good.
I still don't have a good Charles. Charles was one of a kind, though. What a voice he had.
I remember this.
Jay, I could run for president against Donald Trump. I don't. We
just
kind of
remember
predicted
him-
Donald Trump on the Critic because
Yeah.
we had a billionaire, blonde guy running for office.
Funny.
I just recall his character not tipping once in Mexico and jumping immediately on a donkey and riding off going, I don't pay for nothing. And I laughed for a solid 10 minutes.
God, that was a funny show.
It was a
It was
great
so
show.
good.
We would all love for that show to come back.
It was one of those, too.
Al
They
is
would
just a
air
little
it.
busy though, running this other thing. Stimson?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
It'll never last.
Nah.
What is the show that you get the most like recognized for, that people like come to you the most for? Is it Animaniacs and Pinky and the
I
Brain?
would say it's an even split between Pinky and the Brain and Futurama.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because the audiences for those shows are, enormous. And
Oh.
Animaniacs is
It's the lying squad. They caught me again.
God.
No, I'm not on those shows. I'm not even Maurice LaMarche. Take me away, officers. I
Your
would have got away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling Glickman kids. No, I would say seriously, it's.
Yeah,
I don't even know if those sirens blew
I don't
through
think
to the
it
mic,
came
but
through.
I had to cover it anyway.
We'll add it
just
in
in
special
case.
effects later. Was Futurama? Were you what was that like working on a show like that? That's an enormous show too.
It really was. Like, I was amazed I made the cut, and actually I hadn't made the cut as of episode 1. Billy, it went. They recorded it. I asked my agent, "Did I get it?" No. Billy West is doing all the voices.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, all right. Well, I love Billy, and I've known Billy since 1987, and but they had a different Fry and a different Leela,
Really?
and after they recorded the pilot, they realized that they wanted somebody that was going to go broader than the actor that they had. So they made Billy Fry.
Yeah.
Well, now he was playing like 4 main characters, including the absolute main character of the show.
Yeah.
So that's when they said, "Well, we're going to need another utility voice guy. Let's have that LaMarche guy. Get that LaMarche guy. He came in second." And so I
Back when Dudley Moore was running the studio.
are you an impressionist? Jeez, I forgot. I was doing great with you. So I got put on the show as a recurring character, and as we went along, Matt just kept plugging me into new characters, and
Who's your favorites that you played on there?
it's tough to call. I mean, I have a real soft spot for Lieutenant Kif Croker because he's all of us.
Yes.
Especially now that Trump
Did you
is
do
president.
did you do hedonism bot?
Oh, yeah. Indeed. Yes, I had my bottom dipped repeatedly in a vat of the finest creams and oils to repair. I love Kif. I love Calculon.
Did you do Nixon?
No, that was Billy.
That was Billy, okay.
Billy is Nixon's dad. But we all kind of, it's funny, we all rib, each other by doing everybody else's characters. And Billy's characters are the broadest, so they're the easiest for us to do.
Yeah.
So we all go, arrow! And we'll all go, oh, what about Zoidberg? Oh my, yes! We'll just goof on Billy's characters. But we're all so jealous of him.
Yeah.
But I love Lrrr. Lrrr, ruler of the planet Omicron Persei 8. He's all bluster, and he is somewhat destructive.
Yeah, a little bit.
But he's got this soft side that I just, he's just given me some of the biggest laughs. Like, I couldn't get through the day that I had to say, Ooh, there was something in that hippie. My hands are huge, and they can touch anything but themselves. No, wait. And then you see the animation, he touches his hand on the hand. And they just cracked me up. So I don't know, it's hard to pick a favorite, but...
So have you seen that, I think it's a Kickstarter of like a live action Futurama?
Yes. You know what? I did not see the whole thing. I saw the trailer for it. I admire those guys so much because I actually wrote them and said, listen, if you want me to sub any of the voices on this, I will do it. And they were like, no, we want to do it ourselves. And I understand it came out really terrific. Everybody playing all the characters. Because if, I would have been a ringer. They wouldn't have gotten the same satisfaction out of it.
They shot that across the street from Loot Crate in a warehouse that was not a soundstage and built every single inch of that set.
All I saw was like a few of the masks at Comic-Con, and I was like, "Holy cow, this is!"
Oh, they invited
the ship.
They invited us down to the set. I unfortunately was on a day where I absolutely couldn't because I was committed to another work project. But David Cohn went down. He was absolutely amazed, just blown away by it.
One I have to bring up because it was Animaniacs was a huge part of my childhood because it's where I started learning.
That's where you learned
voices.
the names of the 50 states.
I did. I learned the 50 states watching it. And
United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama. I'll leave that to Rob Paulson.
And we've had.
I have the parts of the brain though, so that's good.
Oh yeah, we had Jess Harnell on the show to talk, and Rob Paulson and me worked together at Nickelodeon. Yeah. I love everybody involved in that show.
So do I.
However, your character on that show, you doing Brain on there, and you doing other characters. You did all sorts of different characters.
Yes,
on there too.
My friend.
What? And doing.
I was also
Orson?
Squid the Pigeon.
Oh my god!
As far back as I can remember, I'd always wanted to be a good feather.
Oh yeah! What a genius, man!
Now the Brain is sort of based on Orson Welles. Is that what you're going for?
That's sort of completely based on Orson Welles. Yeah. There's no bones about it. I saw the sketch they did of him. They had it at the audition, and I just thought, oh, they've drawn Orson Welles for me because they know I do Orson Welles at every opportunity. If there's ever any dead airspace in the studio, I immediately go into the frozen peas rant.
Yes,
that outtake. That's
Would you do a tiny bit of the frozen peas for us?
Only at the drop of a hat. Here we go. Now, what is it you want in your depths of your ignorance? What is it you want? Whatever it is you want, I can't deliver because I just don't see it. In July? No, you don't really mean every July. Of course it's every July. It's in July. Impossible. Meaningless. I think all they were thinking about us and they didn't want. He isn't thinking. Could we have one last one? It was my fault. I said in July. If you could leave every July. You didn't say it. He said it. Your friend. Every July? Get me a jury and show me how you can say in July and I'll go down on you.
My favorite part in there is that your friend.
Your friend.
Just the accusation.
The implied gay relationship.
Oh, my
which in the 1970s was such a horrible thing to do.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Now I'm sure you can do the other one, the William Shatner sabotage.
Please don't tell me how to do it. It sickens me. Sulu, Chekhov, Spock sabotaged the system. Spock restored the atmosphere. Spock sabotaged the system. I wish I knew what to do. Observations, Mr. Spock.
Bill, that line, sabotage, could you pronounce it sabotage?
I don't say sabotage. You say sabotage. I say sabotage. The please don't tell me how to do it thing was what he said to the director. Initially.
Yeah.
Please don't tell me how to do it. It sickens me.
Oh, my God.
What a fantastic thing to hear.
So funny.
Did you on Animaniacs? Did you
Willie Slackmer?
Did you meet Spielberg during that time?
I did. Yeah, he threw two very nice parties to celebrate the show. He had a very soft spot for the show. I mean, he really loved it, and he took out the friggin' Warner Brothers backlot, and there had to have been 500 people at this thing, and he gave away wacko hats. We all got red. Turned they were built to be put on your head, turned around.
Oh, cool!
And Stephen was wearing one. And the remarkable thing about him is he's a supremely nice guy, But there were 2 years in between the parties, and at the second party, he actually remembered what we talked about at the party 2 years before, with all that had gone on in between. He's got that kind of memory. It makes you feel like you're literally the only person in the room.
Wow.
Yeah, he's great.
Jess Harnell told us a story that he when he met Steven Spielberg at the first party, he said to him something like, "How much money do you have in your wallet right now?"
Yeah, that sounds like a Jess question.
Yeah, and then Spielberg was like, "A lot," and they just both laughed about it. And Rob Paulson was like, "Are you out of your fucking mind? Why would you ask him a question like that?"
Hey, buddy. Hey, Steven, how much money do you have in your wallet right now?
What about Tiny Toon Adventures? Can we talk about a little Tiny Toon Adventures?
Sure, we're tiny, we're toony, we're all a little loony.
Who did you do on Tiny Toon Adventures?
Oh, bunny, yummy, oh, dizzy, love pizza rolls.
And that was
Dizzy
probably the
Devil?
first place I did Orson Welles. He was Orson Welles, and he did an episode teaching about Toon physics, and it covered all the things like how long the hang time the coyote has in the air before he can't fall until he realizes he's in midair. All that stuff. So that was the first time I think I ever really employed the Orson voice. But so yeah, Tiny Toons. I just did anything and everything that they threw at me there. I was just so thrilled to be on it.
You also were on The Tick, which is one of the greatest animated shows of all time.
Yep, that was Art Vitello, who I'd worked with on Tasmania, playing Bing Crosby as Taz's father, which was a stroke of
that was a
genius.
great show.
He was great. But so Art brought me on to The Tick, and I just used all my any backup character that I had. I mean, there was a character named the Evil Midnight Bomber with bombs at midnight.
My favorite
And
episode of that show.
Sam had just died, and I just felt like this was my way of, it was written in such intense gibberish that I just thought Sam's intensity would work for the characters. I wanted to somehow keep him alive. So he's like, "Yeah, baby, yeah, bad is good, wrong is right." So I am the Evil Midnight Bomber. What bombs at midnight?
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And
Yeah,
of course,
if you
there was
haven't seen that
the
episode,
human. What was it? What was he called? The
human bullet.
No,
There's
no,
a
no.
bunch of different human.
What was the deadly bulb? That was it. But he was really pig leg. He had a pig for a leg, but he also had something to do with a bulb in his head.
You got look. You have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of credits on IMDb, but you see one every once in a while, and you just go, "Oh, I don't know what this is. This is interesting."
I may not
This
know
is
either.
something-
Go ahead.
Yeah, you were in a video game in 1997 called Star Warped. It was an interactive Star Wars parody activity center. What the fuck is this? and you know what? And you were in it with SpongeBob SquarePants with Tom Kinney and Brian Posehn.
Yeah, I've
weird.
they sent it to me
weird.
too.
Look at the poster for this.
Yeah, I remember it, and I can't remember what I did in it. Star Warped, yes, definitely.
Fun and weird. Wow. I love. Like sometimes you just look in, you're like, whoa, I do this and that. We can talk about Freakazoid.
Well, can we talk about for a second
Ghostbusters?
Pop music.
Yeah,
Ghostbusters.
he is a
talked about.
massive Ghostbusters fan.
Yeah,
Sure.
And that cartoon was so right because I don't know.
This is the one where they were actually the Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
not
this is not
the
the Filmation one.
No, God forbid.
Which, for a year after Ghostbusters, they would play that, going like, "This is kind of like what you like, isn't it?" And every kid I knew was like, "What the hell is happening? Why is this? Why would they torture us with
Well,
this?"
that's why I think that's why we had to call it the Real Ghostbusters.
Yeah, and so then when your show came out, I was like, "Oh, finally, they're doing something right."
Yeah.
So we were all instructed as we read for it not to do impressions of the people in the movie. And I got in there and I saw the model sheet for Egon, and they'd altered him slightly. They give him a gigantic, sort of
pompadour
or what is that? The Hostess Ding Dong in the middle of his head. Vanilla flavored, and but nothing would come to me. I got in there and I both froze and freed up at the same time, and I just thought, just do Ramus. Just do Ramus. Don't give them nothing. Don't stand here and go, I don't know what to do. So I just did Ramus and, dropped the voice down and said, this could be extraordinarily dangerous, Peter. And Michael Gross came out and said, all right, you can do it. You're the only guy that gets to do an impression. So he liked it so much that he almost booked me on the spot, but he didn't say I was booked on the spot.
Oh, nice.
So,
and you worked with Lorenzo Music.
I worked with Lorenzo and Dave, and I love them both. But I kind of love what Lorenzo did with the character because he was not trying to be Bill Murray. He was just that's the way Lorenzo talked. He was less Garfield and more like the Venkman character. But Venkman had more attitude than Lorenzo did. Of course, he's a little more lascivious. But well,
it's funny how the world turned where then Bill Murray went on to play Garfield.
So strange. So strange.
Yeah, so weird.
And that all came about because of a very unfortunate little incident. It was nobody's fault, but Bill Murray, saw they'd screened a couple of episodes for him, and there was a party or something like that, and he said offhandedly, "How come?" I feel bad because I'm sort of the reason for it. He said, "How come Harold's character gets to sound like him and my guy doesn't sound like me?"
Oh,
so they fell all over themselves to. He hadn't asked for it, but they kind of wanted to please him. So Lorenzo was out, and they brought in the best Bill Murray impressionist that they knew, which was Coulier, because he did him as act. Yeah. And next thing we knew, Dave was on the show.
Oh, wow.
And I loved Dave and had known him for years. And, I didn't know the story until years later that this was what had happened. It was just this offhand remark by Bill Murray. He wasn't trying to get anybody fired. Wow. Nobody wanted to get rid of Lorenzo, but they also wanted to please Bill. And this is the way it all came out.
Well, and it seems like Lorenzo could have done that in his sleep if he'd known that that's what they wanted,
I guess, but, I don't know what it was. It's just, it's Hollywood.
A bummer. Interesting. But yeah, I prefer those the first half of the series.
Well, some people definitely have their favorite Venkman.
Yeah.
Arsenio had to leave the show because he got a talk show, so we had a very very fine actor named Buster Jones step into the Winston part. And we had 3 Janines. We started out with Laura Summer. Then they decided that she was too New York, which is so odd because the show was set in New York.
Right.
It was in New York.
So they recast Kath Soucie as a more wholesome character. They also changed the model sheet, made her glasses round, and lengthened her skirt, and she was she had a very wholesome kind of sounding Midwest girl voice, and I love Kath. She was her first job, and she was great. And then Pat Music came in for Extreme Ghostbusters in the 90s. So,
okay.
Yeah, because we were both playing a little older and whatever.
Well, we'd be remiss to not talk about Duckman and to not talk about Hey Arnold, both landmark shows.
Yes. Duckman, I did a few, and never with Jason. So I never got to meet him the whole time. And I played a Bogart character in one, but there was one of those shows where they pick you up all by yourself kind of a thing.
Oh, okay.
I got to pass Carl Reiner a few times in the hallway, though.
Nice.
He had a recurring character on that. I always thought that was a cool show because it was very adult. It was the beginning of the adult sensibility shows, in the late 90s. There was a show made strictly for adults. And
you did the other Duck cartoon, Queer Duck.
I did do Queer Duck. Yes.
Wow. Which is a lot of fun.
Queer Duck.
Did you meet Jim J. Bullock?
He's intellectual. Yes, I love Jim.
Yeah.
He was great. He was terrific. Yeah, that was a lot of fun doing that. That's from the mind of Mike Reese. Mm-hmm. Both Queer Duck and Hard Drinkin' Lincoln, which exists for almost no reason other than drinking rhymes with Lincoln. But he built a whole universe around that.
He's like, I got the title. Yeah, what else can we do?
But that's Mike. Yeah. Mike can make a recipe book funny. I mean, he's just the funniest writer in Hollywood.
Yeah. And Hey Arnold.
Hey Arnold is a very special place in my heart. It's Big Bob Pataki, who we shouldn't like him at all, but there's this tiny little glimmer of decency to the guy, and every now and again he steps up to the plate. So I love Big Bob, and he's based on a friend of mine, but this friend of mine is he's got the bombacity of the Big Bob voice. Is that a word? Bombacity, bombasticness.
Yeah.
Bombasticist. Anyway,
We'll roll with it.
Yes, and so it's based on my friend Bruce McCullen, not from The Kids in the Hall, and I decided that was going to be the voice, and so I lost Bruce a few years ago, but so he lives on through Big Bob. Yes.
I love it.
Now, as somebody who's done a lot of animation, you've had to read some very ridiculous things in your time, I would imagine. Is there any show that stands out to you as like, I can't believe they're making me say this? Well, I did a show called The Popples, right on the heels of Real Ghostbusters. I remember the toys.
Yeah, the toy.
Popples.
It was based on socks. It was based on turning your socks inside out.
Yeah.
And the character I played was PC Popple, and he was so ridiculously cute, but I couldn't be at all arch about it. I mean, I had to be that sweet and adorable and cute, and it was a strain. It strained my voice both in terms of pitch and in terms of acting ability, because as a comedian, my job is to parody everything, to skewer everything. Yeah. So I couldn't skewer the cuteness. So I probably had to do more retakes on the Popples than any other show I was ever on, because Marcia Goodman, who was the woman who gave me my first work here, not only on the Littles but also Gadget and Ghostbusters, would keep leaning on, she'd direct, she'd go, I can still hear that you hate it. I can still hear that you hate being this cute. Go back and do it again and be fucking cute. Just be cute.
Oh my God.
Jesus. So I had to be PC Popple and not be at all. I can't do it. I hate the cuteness of this character.
Was that pretty early on in your
Yeah,
career?
very early
So like
on.
you needed the work. You couldn't be like, you know what, screw it, I don't need this.
I couldn't walk off the show. I couldn't. I don't do cute. I'm an actor, not a movie star. But that might have been the hardest job I ever did, having to be a cute little turned inside out sock puppet. Oh my God,
I used to give a similar speech to her at Petco. You just be cute.
Just be cute. Damn you!
You want to be adopted, don't you? Be cute.
Be cute.
Now, you have done video games as well, like
Yes.
Arkham. You did Arkham Asylum, Batman.
I did. I was the voice of Victor Fries.
Oh, yeah.
You are in my world now, Batman.
Let me ask you this,
Yes.
because we talked to
Be careful. I will freeze you otherwise.
the actor that plays Batman in
Kevin,
yeah.
Conroy.
So
the great Kevin Conroy.
We talked to him a little bit about it. That script for Batman Arkham Asylum was 30,000 pages, and took him 3 years to record all the voiceover for something like that.
Huge.
And I know that SAG has had all sorts of issues with trying to work some sort of deal out so that voiceover actors who do cartoons can get paid residuals for video games.
Right.
Where are you at with in that? Like, how do you feel about it, or is there any movement, you think?
I'm not on the negotiating committee. I don't know where it's going. I do know that I certainly stand with my fellow actors in saying that there's no reason we shouldn't make something as these things. It's like if you're on an album,
right,
they do it per unit sold. I don't understand why.
Yeah.
Your voiceover performance is your intellectual property, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
It can never be reproduced by a machine or anybody else. It's yours, and once you do it, you can't use it anywhere else, sort of a thing. So if it's on the track, you should get paid for it.
I agree.
And so I think it should be some sort of a unit sold formula, but the producers
look, we almost just had a writers actors strike. There was supposed to be an actor strike about a week ago.
Yeah, it was averted.
It got averted and that one was for like Netflix, Amazon,
right,
all that stuff. Because I'll tell you what, I talked to one of the guys from New Girl, and that show is now streaming on Netflix, and they make zero residuals for their show. Airing people can watch it a million times in a row, and they don't see anything. Yeah, it's not how it's supposed to be. So that is getting fixed. So it's good to know that like people are paying attention. And we're trying to we're trying to make things change as best as possible. been so insanely amazing getting to sit down with you.
I don't want it to end.
I know. We
Stop. Send over some egg rolls, and we'll just keep talking.
We'll have you back if you're at all interested.
Absolutely.
And honestly, Bill Farmer did the show, who I'm sure you know.
I love Bill.
Right?
Yeah.
Bill.
We did the 7D together.
Oh yeah.
An updated version of the Seven Dwarves on Disney Channel. It was
nice.
great. It was half the crew was from Animaniacs. It was half the writing staff, and it was just the voice actors, and it felt like old home week, and it was too funny and too arch, and Disney didn't know what to do with it. But we had a great time.
My God.
Yeah. So Bill was Doc, and I was Grumpy.
Oh my God, that's
surprise.
amazing! Yeah, no
Perfect.
joke.
Yeah.
Well, when Bill came on the show, we talked about stand-up and stuff because he had started out in stand-up, and he hadn't done stand-up in 30 years. And we said, hey, if you ever want to come do stand-up at the Improv on a Saturday night, because we do our show live as well at the Improv, Saturday once a month on the 10:30 show. It's always sold out. And Bill came down, performed on the stage, followed Dane Cook at the Hollywood Improv, did 6 minutes of time.
Just crushed.
Fucking annihilated. He was doing Ronald Reagan impressions.
I was going to say that's
and Jimmy Stewart impressions.
I was like, that's
it
what was in my act.
yeah.
I was like, I couldn't go back and do that.
I'm
Who the fuck
telling
wants
you,
to hear Ronald Reagan?
People love that.
They were lining up to get his autograph after the show.
It was and his kids had never seen him do stand up, and he hadn't performed at the Improv on that stage in 30 years, and he annihilated. Because if you're doing like 15, 20 minutes, it's a different story. But if you're doing 5, 6 minutes, it's like a special thing. People get very excited. So if ever you would consider doing it, we would. I love it.
Thank
It'd
you.
be
Thank
huge.
you. I just feel like I couldn't pull the old act out of mothballs.
Well, if you ever want to play around with us,
All right.
I mean, we'll have you back to do this
a
live.
sketch with us, whatever you
yeah,
wanna
come
do.
do something with us like this at Comic-Con or at LA Comic-Con or something like this.
Absolutely. That I would do.
Yeah.
That would be a blast.
Standing alone, me and a microphone, I don't know.
I gotcha. I
Maybe.
understand.
One day.
What shows are you on currently that people can check out?
Nothing I can talk about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. I'm on 2 shows I have NDAs for. They have not yet been announced. Maybe by the time this airs.
What do these shows rhyme with? No.
Oh, I can't even do that. I mean, it's really serious stuff. I will say that one of the shows is with it's for Netflix. I can say that, and the show creator is somebody I respect immensely, and I'm very, very just thrilled to be on it, and it's an animated show, and it's gonna be somewhat serialized. You'll know it when you hear it. And,
I'm sure.
It's really great, and I'll of course I'll tweet about it when
Netflix
Netflix says I can.
Is it a David Lynch cartoon about the JFK assassination?
Wow.
God, you're so
No,
close.
is that, no?
God, that's really.
That's about as close to guess as I've heard.
Where can people follow you on the internet?
On the internet, you can follow me. I am usually I have breakfast at a spot called the Blue Jam Cafe, and you can don't follow me on the internet. Just follow me in person. Go ahead. Just try to catch
Go meet him.
Yeah.
He's at the Blue Jam.
Okay, follow me on Twitter at Maurice LaMarche. That's the @ and my full name with no space in between, MauriceLaMarche. And you can also follow me on the Facebook as well, and on Instagram it's Maurice_LaMarche. But I only have 4 pictures up because I really don't know how to do Instagram yet.
I was going to ask you.
Did somebody already take Maurice LaMarche as all as one word?
I believe so. Yeah, I think I did have to put an underscore between the two.
Let's go find him.
Get
your name back.
Quebec Maurice
Take a
LaMarche.
bunch of pictures of us beating up fake
the other Maurice.
We always have a present for our guests, and I have a present for you. But I was going to ask you, if I give it to you, could you try to do the Orson Welles commercial about the product that I'm going to give to you? It's a gift. Would you mind? Would you try it?
We're doing improv.
We're doing it.
just for a minute. I'll give it to you. Hang on.
All right, I'll try to do that. Okay, we've lost
Steven
our host.
is going to the
He's going to his
backpack.
bag. I hear the Velcro ripping.
and he brings out
I hear the hairs on his arm brushing against the leather. He's bringing me. Oh my God. The French. Champagne is long been celebrated for its cinnamon whiskey. There is a California cinnamon whiskey called Fireball. It's like the best French whiskey. It's vintage dated and fermented in the bottle. And cut. 102, take 3. The French whiskey, long been celebrated for its excellence. This is fantastic. Thank you. Fireball cinnamon whiskey.
Fireball cinnamon whiskey. That is your gift. Thank you
Thank
for
you very
being
kindly.
on the show. You're
You'll
in.
find an honored place in my home. Thank you.
I'm sure it will.
Other people will drink it.
Wonderous,
Yes.
wondrous.
Not I, but the others will.
It's Canadian cinnamon whiskey.
It's
for
Canadian.
Canadian
It's from
from
Canada.
one Canadian to
Oh,
another.
isn't this great? Oh, look at this. The back of it is burnt, like as if the devil farted in the back. This is great. This is
Genius.
great. I don't drink myself, but there are folks who come over and will enjoy
Nice.
this.
Well,
Thank you
they'll
very
love
much.
it. Anytime.
Thank you very much.
Mike, where can people find you on the internet?
I am on all social media at Mike Black Attack.
Mike Black Attack. What about you, Matt Waka?
You can find links to everything at funnymatt.com, or if you were annoyed by me today, please let me know at mattwalkersucks.com.
Oh, yeah. And people do. People do.
Oh, that's fun.
You can always get me at Stephen Glickman, STPHEN, Glickman on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to the Nighttime Show podcast. Leave comments, share it with your friends, and leave reviews, and we love you so much for coming to do this.
Thank you.
You're the coolest, Maurice.
No.
Literally
Thank
the
you.
damn coolest. Thanks
well,
again.
thanks for the
man.
iced tea, that's for sure.
Anytime. Thanks, buddy. And we'll talk to you all real soon. Goodbye.
This was a cool show. I was so glad to be here. Thank you.